But it brings up I suppose we should bring this up, and we've brought these up already, but, cloud, big data, consumerization / BYOD. Are those impacting your organizations now? And if so, at a high level, how, and what are you doing about them if they are?
All the above for me. Certainly from on two sides, managing an infrastructure that supports town, municipal government, and public schools. On the student side, we have a very large need to be able to provide BYOD services, security, and infrastructure support for that. From an employee standpoint, we have a very large mobile-enabled workforce now.
They drive police cars, yeah?
They drive police cars, but they drive DPW trucks. We know where the trucks are. We know if the plow's down, and we know if they're dropping sand, salt, and everything else. We can get a ticket to them if they're out fixing potholes that day. We have a lot of correspondence with our folks in the field, and we're trying to keep them in the field because that improves our efficiency.
That's outstanding. Would you like to come out to my town? No, we don't have any of that.
So yeah, there's, absolutely all of those are important to us. And I will go back just to the earlier point. We do try to stay 24 months ahead because that's part of what we have to do is look at our overall infrastructure and say, all right, our storage network will probably get another 2 to 3 years out of it. What's the next thing? When, in our instance, the question is, when do we move to the cloud, and what's the right move for us? Do we do it in pieces? Do we do it in whole? There's value proposition that we have to equate there. But software-defined network is something that's interesting. And if you're looking at the evolution of the technology from 3 to 5 years out, you have to be knowledgeable of what that means and where it's going. Virtualization was very much that. I think that roadmap. It was here for 3 years before we found a place where we could plant our flag and say, here we go. But at that point, we were comfortable. We knew it worked. We knew where we were going with it. We knew that we had an opportunity to do more with it because it was a significant investment.
Sure. Yeah, I remember virtualization. We used to just use it for demo machines because you could hit revert. That was like the best thing in the world.
And I have to say, in our organization, we have 3 enterprise architectures. We have the current enterprise architecture, the one the IT department talks about that will come, and the internal one that's in my head that nobody discusses yet because I'm looking out into the future. And the idea is that part of my job is to present a good transition plan to get from each of those so that we move from the traditional to our planned architecture to the future architecture and stay on that plan so that we don't deviate that. However, understanding what the implications of different technologies come in. So if all of a sudden the retinal displays are now, everyone's got rid of their desktops and they're now using their Google Glasses.
Yeah, sure.
Then how does that impact my future architecture, the security, the supportability, and everything around that? So that then is in my head. That's something I might discuss with the IT people, depending on its maturity level, and something we would never talk to management about.
Okay, all right, okay.
Right.
So you wouldn't even ever discuss. It's so far off in the future that it has no business. Now, if the business brings it up,
because remember, desire lags functionality.
Sure.
So if we present the desire, then they're going to be disgruntled once
they're
they're going to want it in, and then they'll be dissatisfied. So why go through that exercise?
Okay, so managing sort of their expectations is
expectations is extremely large when it comes to IT infrastructure and services because you have to know what the future is, but bring it in the appropriate time and the appropriate place for it to be executed correctly, that everyone understands and can benefit from what you're trying to do.
Okay.
Early adopter has its place, but not necessarily you don't want to have an early adopter infrastructure for the entire enterprise.
Sure. We did a survey of CIOs, and we surveyed about 200 CIOs or VPs of IT. And we found that 3/4 of them said that they personally are early adopters of technologies, but they would never do that for their organization. It's like, I will try this at home, and I have all the cool stuff at home, and you've got, the cool Bluetooth watch, which we're all going to have soon. I'm going to get one immediately. But when it comes to organizational, it's like, well, no, in work, I become suddenly conservative and, really am measured about my research and about what technologies we bring in, and the risk factor, I guess, the risk management engine is sort of cranked up when you're in a work setting.
And also, you're talking populations of one versus populations of potentially hundreds of thousands.
Yes.
So you have to keep the economies of scale involved as well.
Good point.